Have you ever wondered how a website knows that you are logged in after you've closed the page multiple times? Well, the answer is sessions, and in this video, we are going to talk more about sessions in Python. Okay, so if you are building a Flask application and you want to temporarily save user information, that's to save it for a short time, the best thing to use is sessions. So session is like the secret sauce to make your application know a particular user and what the user has done on your websites. So in the next 5 to 6 minutes, we are going to break down how we can use sessions, why we use sessions, and how to create sessions in a Flask application or in a Flask project. So first of all, what exactly are sessions? So think of sessions as a temporary box that saves your user information. It could be what your user may have picked out in a cart. It could be their username or any other information that they may have given you. And then think of this box as a box that lives on your browser. So any page that the user access on your project, that request is being tied to that user's session. And now, if you're wondering, why do I need to use sessions when I can just create a variable and tie the request to the variable? The reason is because every request that a user makes is independent, it's stateless. That means it's independence in the sense that your application has no memory of the previous request that particular user has made. But with sessions, it bridges that gap in the sense that it's lets your application know that user A hits the home route, user A information is this particular username, user A made this request, that request, this request, that request on your project. And the best part of sessions is that every session is independent in the sense that user A's session logs or their session details is not tied up to that of user B. So if user A hits the home route 10 times, it will not reflect on the number of requests that user B makes. Okay, so I hope that I was able to explain that in a simple way. So let's see sessions in action. Okay, so to start, we would have to set up our Flask application, and we installed Flask, and we are going to be installing the session function. We would be not installing but importing the session function from the Flask package, along with request redirects URL for. We would be using that later on in this project. So next we need to define our secret key. So you can say secret key equals to my secret key. Now it's very wrong for you to use secret key like this in your project, especially when you know that you are going to be deploying the project. So an easier way for you to do it is to install python.env, which I already have installed. And once you install this, you would have to say from .env import load.env, and then you call this. And what this should do is that you can now take this particular key that you have added here, because this is a secret key, and secret keys are not meant to be exposed so that you can avoid cyber attacks. So you take this key and you save it on your .env file. So I will just have to remove that to os.getEnv secrets key. Then I would have to import os. Okay, so now that we have defined our secret key, we have installed the functions that we need to install, let us create the routes that we need to create. Okay, so first of all, we would be creating the home route. In case I did not mention, this code example for the session would be a simple login or authentication system that logs in the user, takes the user to a home route, and then can log out the user. So first of all, we'll be creating and we will be creating our home routes. And what the home route does is that if the username is in the session data, it greets the user by the username. But if the user name is not in the session data, it tells the user that you are not logged in and redirects them to login. Next up, let's create the login route. Okay, so what the login route does is that it makes a post request and it takes the username and saves that into a username field under the session data, and then it redirects the user to the home route, and it takes the username or the user data in this method that we have defined here. Now let's create the last route, which is the logout route. Now this logout route, what it does is that it checks if the user is if there is a username in the session data. If there is, then it deletes that from the session data and redirects the user back to the home route for the user to either log in or just exit the page. And this is a simple authentication system that explains how you can use sessions in your Flask application. Now, in the previous examples, or when I talked about how you can run your Flask application effectively, I made mention of adding this this to run your Flask application. So we can just copy this here and we can paste it here. So now that we have defined all our routes, we can run our application. So we say Python sessions py, and our project is up and running. You can navigate to that particular route. This is the home route that we define, and since we have not logged in, it tells us that, oh, you are not logging. And then when we log in, let's give the name Sophia, and we log in, then it greets us by saying, hello Sophia. If we copy this, copy the URL, and we close this tab and we open it again, it still shows it still identify us that, okay, we are still logged in and my name is and my username is still Sophia. And no matter how many times we do this, it still identifies that this is us. But when we log out, it deletes our username from the session. And when we refresh the previous pages that we were that we opened, we see that it tells us that you are no longer logged in. You will need to log in again. So this is how Python, this is how you can define Flask sessions in your project. Okay, so before I wrap this video up, these are some key things that I think that you should know when you are playing around with sessions. The first thing is that sessions in Python, they act as dictionary, or they are in a dictionary format. And with sessions, you can retrieve, search, or delete data very easily. Secondly is that when you need to set your secret key, ensure that you set your secret key in your .env. Don't set your secret key within your main source code. And lastly is that sessions, they expire depending on when you configure them, but sessions expire, and when they expire, your user will need to log back in to perform whatever action the user was performing initially. And there you have it, Flask sessions in, let's say, in under 6 to 7 minutes. I hope so. And now you can now track your users' requests, or you can track what your user does across multiple requests in your projects. So try building a project with sessions and experiment with it. You can try using different type of data to experiment with it. And if you found this video helpful, do well to smash the like button, leave a comment on what you want to build with Flask sessions, and subscribe to the channel because I make videos on Python and how to use Python as a developer. So until next time, bye.